Welcome to yet another session of Sunny Side Up with your host and host Sunita. My guest today is a passionate healthcare corporate professional in the field of diabetes and non communicable diseases. However, I am more impressed by his passion for Buddhism, which he has been following for the last 20 years now. A farmer's son who was scared to travel alone when he was traveling from his small town to now nearly traveling the entire world, he has come a long way. He has been blessed with some amazing mentors who came in his life at the right time to show him light and the right path. Please welcome Divakar Mittal.
I'm so happy to see you in your new avatar. I must compliment you, Sunita, first of all, really thinking about it. And, we should always look at the sunny side of the life in every aspect. And I think that's what I know you're trying to do, bringing stories, individuals, through this chat session. So I must compliment you. This is fantastic.
Thank you so much. Our conversation is one, it's a very informal, casual chat that I want to do with you. And अगर हम कुछ life lessons तुमसे सीख सके, so I would have achieved the aim of my channel. So शुरू से शुरू करते हैं.
I was born in Western UP in a typical Agrawal family. So my father, my grandmother, we all have farming lands. So basically, a farmer's family, I would say.
Wow.
Bachpan, the childhood, I grew up in that village. Small things. Family matters the most. The dadi, the mother, the chachas, the taus, and the so many people in the family. So very close knit group, and we loved it. It was like a norm, and we were growing up, so it was like यही होता है life में, you're always with your family, and कोई भी गलती की तो obviously they will tighten it, and then of course lots of love, lots of things, but you don't realize at that time because this is how it grows. But later part of the year, which I think we will talk, I really learned many those things which remained with me, and even today also. I would say very humble kind of upbringing, origin, but highly value, lots of value, family values. One of the things which I remember, which have always remained with me and continue to always, be there, coming from, the farmers or the farming background, I learned the art of creation over there. Because जैसे बोलते ना कि किसान जो होता है वो धरती में से सोना को उगाता है. So that is true. Of course, at that time I didn't know, but क्योंकि मैं पापा के साथ ही रहता था, तो खेतों में हम जाते थे, तो कैसे वो गेहूं उगाते थे, धान उगाते थे, हमारे आम के बाग भी थे, अभी भी हैं. So वो सब चीजें जो सीखने को मिली वहां से, जो क्रिएशन, जो उनका प्लानिंग होता था, बहुत ही सिंपल, working with people, and then difficulties also. I remember there used to be all of a sudden lots of rains, and the whole hard work which you would have done, overnight finished. I remember once, जैसे धान की जो खेती होती है, so when it is ready, so sometime it rains, or maybe and it rains too much. So that's what happened once, and then it got destroyed completely. वो धान की जो खेती होती है, जैसे या गेहूं की जो खेती होती है, वो किसी भी किसान के लिए बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट होती है फ्रॉम फाइनेंशियल एंगल आल्सो, बिकॉज वहां उसको बेच के वो पैसा आता है वहां से. सो ऑब्वियसली ही वाज हाईली डीमोटिवेटेड. और मेरे पापा साइकिल पे जाते थे, हमारे यहाँ स्कूटर वगैरह अभी तक नहीं था, तो so he came back after some
70s की
time.
बात कर रहे हो. 70s में तो या साइकिल वाज द व्हीकल,
Cycle.
राइट? वही एक जरिया था, राइट, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का.
Yeah. So वो फिर आए, मेरे याद है हमारी दादी भी बैठी हुई थी, सब लोग बात कर रहे थे, तो काफी देर तक वो सुनती रही, देखती रही. वो हम लोग भी बैठ गए वहां पे. ऑल ऑफ अ सडन जैसे एक डिप्रेशन की लहर सी आ जाती है ना पूरे घर में कि अब क्या होगा, like it's have really fallen, etc. बट देन फिर वो बोलती है नहीं नहीं ये तो प्रभु की कृपा है, ऐसे ही होना था, हो गया, कोई बात नहीं,
Oh, wow.
और अभी आगे भी उन्हीं की कृपा होगी। सो यू नो वही करते हैं जो करते हैं, ऐसे बोला उन्होंने। एंड शी सेड कि चलो कुछ करते हैं, लेट्स वर्क टुगेदर एंड लेट्स वेट फॉर इट, ये वो। तो आई थिंक दे मेड सम प्लान
Yeah, but I'm so
एंड
impressed, Divakar, that Dadi of the house, the lady of the house is pepping everyone up.
या
That's amazing.
यस दैट वाज अमेजिंग एंड देन दे वेंट देयर। और वो जैसे जो मतलब धान की खेती जो एक तरह से गिर जाती है, उसको पकड़ पकड़ के उन्होंने इकट्ठा किया और ऊपर से वो बांधा उसमें कुछ रस्सी टाइप, so that
Mm.
it can again stand. So I think loss which would have been 100% maybe came down to 50-60% or something like that, and they could still save. So हर किसान के लाइफ में ये स्ट्रगल अभी भी है। We really learned the whole perseverance, whole pepping up yourself, not really seeing this is all part of the design.
I think आज हम इसको resilience के नाम पे बहुत
Yeah,
सारे जगहों पे इस्तेमाल करते हैं, right? We are coaching people as to how to be resilient. A great example of how
absolutely.
to bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is how, those kind of small things, even I mean, even respecting elders.
Mhm.
One thing which I have learned, and when I look back now, I think the true love, the respect for parents, so very critical, because in today's world, I feel the only people who think good about you genuinely are your parents always. So without any give and take, or you know.
Absolutely. I think the most selfless relationship is between a child and parent. Yeah.
So that this is how my childhood was. Um, but after 12th, then I got into graduation. So I had to step out of that village. This experience of going to a different town for college was unique because that was the time when I stepped out of my homes and sit in a bus. I remember first time when I went for that half an hour bus ride, there was a discussion in my family कि भाई कैसे जाएगा
Yeah.
क्योंकि ऐसा कभी हुआ नहीं था. Especially my mom who has been always extra close to me. She चिंतित रहती थी कि कैसे जाएगा कैसे करेगा. But anyway, but then gradually that stepping out of my house and meeting different people, friends, teachers, different environment, college, ये सब उसका impact मेरे पे बड़ा अच्छा रहा. And I started making or meeting rather different people there, and that helped me even kind of in my academics also. I also met some amazing teachers. मेरे याद है मैं जब मेरे केमिस्ट्री के प्रोफेसर होते थे, वो एक तरह से दोस्त बन गए थे, बहुत ही सीनियर थे, और उनसे वो मुझे भी अपना एक फ्रेंड सा मानते थे, और उनकी बातों में इतनी वो थी इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें कि मैं सुनता ही रहता था उनको 2-2 3-3 घंटे. So फिर like BSc which I did post graduation with very good marks, very nice marks, and more than the marks, I felt something is happening. And when I look back now, I really felt that I grew a lot as a person. And I think thanks to this professor who had a very positive impact. He also gave me a little bit of global outlook, how world is. So he was not only just a professor of chemistry, he was also like a teacher of life. So he knew world. He has traveled all over the world. He was a very, a learned person, etc. So वहां से थोड़ा वो भी थिंकिंग प्रोसेस मिला उनसे बात करने.
When you did your graduation, एक एकदम ककून में, कंफर्ट में पड़ा लड़का जब बाहर गया और फिर उसने एक्सेल भी किया एकेडमिक्स में, तो घर पे कैसा उसका रिएक्शन था, या हाउ मच डिड दे सपोर्ट यू?
बहुत ही अच्छा था. मेरे पापा, मम्मी, हमारी दादी जी बहुत अच्छा फील करती थी कि भाई हमारा बच्चा बाहर जा रहा है गांव से और पढ़ रहा है. और जैसे होता है ना कि रिलेटिव्स में बात करते थे, फ्रेंडशिप, और एज पेरेंट्स उनको भी एक वो मिलता है ना उनके सर्कल में कि इनका बेटा पढ़ रहा है आगे अच्छा और नई नई चीजें कर रहा है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल कॉलेज में आई यूज्ड टू बी बिजी विद एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज. एनसीसी में मुझे बी सर्टिफिकेट मिला, फिर मुझे सी सर्टिफिकेट मिला एनसीसी में. मैंने combined defense programs किए, you know, I lived with the army in Leh while I was in a student NCC. So ये सब चीजें उनको बड़ा motivate किया करती थी, especially my father को. और वो अपने साइकिल पे बैठ के ये सब बात करते थे, तो उनको अच्छा लगता था. बट मुझे इसमें एक हमेशा हिच रहती थी, बिकॉज आई हैड टू आस्क मनी फ्रॉम देम, बिकॉज आई वाज नॉट अर्निंग. सो क्या है कि जब आप हम लोग गांव में रहते हो तब एक्सपेंस अलग होता है. नाउ यू आर गोइंग आउट and we were farmers, so I used to feel ke, you know, money ka they are cutting somewhere, and we were three brothers. So this gave a lot of independent thinking. How do I start earning faster? I knew if I have to really drive higher studies, etc., so how will they pay? Because for higher studies means I had to go to now another town, because us town mein wo nahi tha.
You must have been hardly 20 at that time.
Yes. Yeah.
And उस समय ये thoughts already thinking about parents becoming independent. I think it's amazing. एक 20 साल के बच्चे is what I would say को इतनी consciousness. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say again, this is the, you know, जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं जो संस्कार आपको बचपन में मिलते हैं. Maybe my mother और मेरे जो नाना जी थे, नानी जी थे, वो बहुत ही केपेबल और बहुत ही स्ट्रॉन्ग लोग थे. सो उन लोगों के साथ में मैं रहा, तो वहां से ये सब चीजें डेवलप हुई थिंकिंग प्रोसेस में. And many people have that, obviously. I don't think I was the only one, but yes, it happened in my case. So मुझे ये रहता था कि, you know, how do I start earning? Studies is okay. So post graduation के लिए I went to another bigger town, and I got the admission in a very good college. But then I thought ki, you know, to support myself, I should not ask money from my family. Then I would study in the college in the daytime, और evenings में 4 घंटे मैं STD booth पे काम करता था.
Wow. STD booth. I think आज की generation को तो ये पता भी नहीं होगा, right? With phone in your hand, yes, but उस जमाने में STD booth was the trend, is what I would say.
Remember yellow color के जो booth बहुत सारे हो गए थे जब I think the telecom revolution came. All of a sudden, every चौराहे पे you will see STD booth. So I got one booth था वहाँ पे हमारे college के उधर. So उन्होंने बोला कि आप बोलो तो evening में you can come, और करना कुछ नहीं है, phone मिला के देना है सबको, and I will you know, I'll pay you 25 rupees or I think 50 rupees per day.
जब तुम ये कर रहे थे, what about the other students? क्या वो?
No, they did not know. I had not told any one of them. Of course, there were few students who were maybe who were working as well, you know, but I did not tell anybody that, you know, in the afternoon or in the evening I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
So
because मैं आज देखती हूँ, आज का ट्रेंड ये है दिवाकर कि every student is doing a part time, right? But हमारे जमाने में या उस समय student नौकरी भी करे, ये थोड़ा सा सोचना या इमेजिन करना डिफिकल्ट था.
बहुत मुश्किल है. You're right. तब इतना नहीं करते थे, अभी तो आम बात हो गई है ये. But at the time it was not like this. But I had this very, very strong desire within me that, you know, I should not bother too much my parents, and they had so many other things to do. My younger brother, my elder brother, and as a farmer I knew कि एक पैसा बहुत मेहनत से आता है. I started taking tuitions also. जैसे कि वहाँ पे उस city में there were a lot of public schools. So public schools में maths पढ़ाना ये सब wherever it was possible. एक दो tuition भी मैंने लिया, so that, you know, I'm earning decent enough to, you know, meet my expense of living in that city. There again I met amazing people. So वहाँ पे एक I was doing a post graduation into physics, and physics में nuclear physics के professor मुझे मिले, and he said, Divakar, you are like a friend for me. तुम कभी भी मेरे से मिलने आ जाया करो. He used to, you know, and he motivated me to do my specialization into nuclear physics. He also taught me so many things on technology. Like he became like a, as I said, similar to when I was in graduation, this professor. So he also became like that.
So you found another mentor. So
I'm
शायद
another.
तुम attract करते हो mentors को अपनी तरफ?
No, I don't think so. अभी तो मैं करता हूँ because I have learned the tricks of the trade. But at that time, I was like, I was very naive. You know, हिंदी में ही बात करता था. English तो बहुत ही कम आती थी. And I was shy. I would not talk. You know, for example, if in a group there were a few girls, I would not even go to them and make a conversation. I was so shy from reaching out to people. But अंदर ही अंदर एक चिंतन जरूर रहता था कि I have to do this, I have to do that. And now when I look back, and I will share with you a little later, I've seen in my life or otherwise also, whatever you think, it becomes a reality for you actually. And probably that was the reason it was happening for me, where in terms of people coming into my circle who would guide me exactly the way I wanted to be. I did my post graduation very nicely, and I got distinction. And so
अब तक तो establish हो चुका है कि you are an excellent student, right?
Yeah, but it's only during graduation and post graduation. In the school days, I was like, okay, as I said, and I think that the contribution is to these two, professors who came in my life. They really motivated me a lot, and I started studying and really experimenting all that. So जब मेरा post graduation finish हुआ, because after that now you have to think what next, because now you have to start a profession, right? Or you have to go further higher studies. But I was more keen, as I said, कि यार job शुरू करते हैं. I used to be with this teacher, like a friend actually. So he said that, what are you thinking now? I said, what do you think I should do? I do not know. He said, I think you should get into some job where there's a conversation, because I feel you are a very good communicator. When he said this, I did not believe, honestly. So he said that you could get into marketing jobs, or you could get into jobs where you have to interact, or you are, business management kind of roles you should get in. This can help you. And he used to give this theory that our profession or our job should be linked to our core competency or the internal calling which we have as a human being. And he used to say that many times when people are growing, in the initial part, we don't know what we want to do. We only discover this pretty late. And by the time we would have already got into some kind of profession, then it becomes like a, not a choice, by chance. If you got into a profession which is fitting with your internal calling, your core competency, in management term we call it, then life is good. Otherwise, people struggle. To work what you love, फिर वो work ही नहीं रहेगा, right? It will be like something which will come naturally to you, which you're saying is your eternal calling. Yeah. And actually, that was the vision. Absolutely, that was the vision which he had, and he used to see that things are changing. You will see in future, work will change a lot. In fact, even in those days, there used to be few type of distinctive jobs. For example, आप engineer बन जाओ, doctor बन जाओ, MBAs बहुत करते थे लोग, business management में जाते थे. So many MBA colleges came up that time. But today, if you see in corporate world, you have so many different type of jobs actually, which we never thought. Absolutely. So then he guided me that you should try and do maybe some sales job or something if you really don't want to study further. I said okay. Then uske baad mein I started giving interviews, in different companies. Then I realized that health sector is one sector which is good, and I don't know why, but I just, and then of course the technology sector, which is to do with large companies which are purely into electronics, goods, etc. And I should try that. And I started applying for my interviews and all, but I would always get rejected, and various reasons. As one reason was I do not know how to speak English, and most of the time while I had the thoughts within me, but since my English was very poor, it was so hard for me to explain. And you can't talk in Hindi. And उन दिनों में क्या होता था कि when you go to any corporate or any company to speak, एक स्टाइल भी होता था कि हिंदी में बात नहीं करनी है, इंग्लिश में ही बात करनी है. Now तो it's a hybrid. Everything is okay.
मतलब I also remember, I think हिंदी में बोलना was a stigma, right?
सभी लोग ऐसा ही सोचते हैं तो यार फिर कैसे होगा? So English was a big issue. Even if I had thoughts, even if everything was there, I used to find it very difficult to have conversation while in the interview. So I gave 80 interviews to get my first job, and most of the time the reason was my conversation. So I used to wonder. My professor tells me that I have a good conversation skills, whereas I'm not getting job only because of this.
So yeah, going back to जब वो rejection letter आती थी, तब how was it that you would feel?
Oh, it was very bad. I used to feel very disappointed.
तो फिर next interview के लिए कैसे तैयार होते थे?
Yeah. So I again used to talk to my professor, study this something, and that happened. But what happened is, while I was struggling to get the job, and I realized many of my friends were doing the same thing.
Okay.
I met one more friend, industry friend from pharmaceutical, and he said, "I will coach you how to talk in an interview."
Wow. So another mentor in your life, right?
So this is my third mentor.
Yeah.
So he really coached me, small, real things. So he's my first real mentor, I would say. So wow. This is how I got my first job.
Brilliant, congratulations. So, अगर आज तुम उस journey को याद करते हो तो I'm sure you also now would be mentoring people, right?
I'm mentoring many people within the organization where I work and outside the organization around the world. And this is something which I feel maybe when I retire, I will do that because I love connecting, meeting people. Actually, this is something which I truly enjoy. I got the first job, and it was a celebration time for me. That I have to travel now. So I went to Baroda. I lived there for I think 1 month in a very nice hotel, and there was a training, and we really enjoyed. I saw life for the first time, coming from a small village to a little bigger town, and then a bit bigger town, now a big city. Yeah. And when I remember those 1 month when I lived in Baroda, there was a festival time there because Gujarat is very famous for Garba and all that. So it was just, that time. And in the evening, I used to go with my few colleagues to see those Garba dance, sing, song, dance, whole night they used to. And morning 7:30, we would be in the classroom training, learning the pharmacology and, health and all that.
I want to just take you back and I want to now know कि गांव में क्या चल रहा है, parents की क्या feelings हैं?
It was very good. My dadi was happiest. And she used to talk to her friends. वो कहा करती थी कि मेरा पोता तो बड़ौदा में रहता है आजकल, something like that. So it was like this for her, and even my father, everybody, they do not know what I'm doing over there, obviously, because this clarity, even today, my profession, my mother don't relate so much. She doesn't know what I do. She only knows that he's doing something in diabetes. This was a time where I was. I came in contact by another organization and they said that we have a job for you. Would you like to join us? Okay, so after 80 rejections, now you're getting job every 8 months. Yes, so I joined them. Now for a training from when I joined them, I had to go to Mumbai. My first trip to Mumbai. So,
and now which has become now your home city, right?
So I came to Mumbai in Frontier Mail. And I really remember taking the train. Flight तो तब नहीं होता था इतना, but then train ही रहता था. So I took the train, came to Mumbai. But that was a dream, kind of thing. And I went through a 1-month training. So very nice training, and this was a multinational organization. Pause you here, and in this entire conversation, I'm hearing that language. English speaking is something that you had felt was a barrier to begin with, but by now
have you overcome it, or have you put in
I
any
would not
effort?
say, yeah, I would not say I had really overcome this part, but I was okay because by the time I had learned to communicate with customers quite a lot. Many times what happens is our customer or our work teaches us a lot, because we have to do that by compulsion, which means there is some kind of discipline which comes into your life. And I think any learning needs discipline of execution. Then it comes to you slowly, slowly. So I traveled a lot from there to Punjab, to J&K, Himachal, because the job was wanting me to go to different places. Amazing, a lot of things I learned, and then I was all of a sudden among people who are very smart people. You know, we were launching insulins in the country from outside, and I was one of the task force member to learn. So lots of learning, 24 by 7 at every level. Lots of falling also, because when you're learning, you're falling again, getting a falling again. So high level of agility you need to have.
Maybe I should pause here and
Yeah.
ask you, अब लड़का सेटल हो गया है, अच्छी अच्छी जॉब्स कर रहा है, सो घर में बातें होती होंगी, या फिर some girl in your life?
No, never. बातें घर में जरूर होती थी, but by now you can imagine there was no. I do not have courage even to even think on those lines, because I was so much engrossed in my work. And by now I had become workaholic, honestly speaking, because like what I said when I was doing my post graduation. Now I used to remember why he told me this. He said, if you love your job, if it is your calling, then life is beautiful. And that what was happening now. I really, really enjoyed working into this area where I'm meeting different people every day, and that too in a space which has become so close to me, which is diabetes healthcare. Doing business there, and I was learning a lot, getting a lot of exposure. So that thought would never come that I should have someone whom I should talk to and all that. ये कभी थोड़ा हाँ घर में पेरेंट्स जरूर ये बात करते रहते थे, but that way they have never been forcing in any sense. So yeah, but
अब
I came
दिल्ली.
to Delhi. Now I came to Delhi, and Delhi I was part of a big team and fantastic. And that in Delhi, that too I work in South Delhi, which is like the cream of Delhi. I used to live in Hoskas. Life was Delhi mein working, and I started connecting with the leading healthcare professionals of the country, amazing diabetologists, endocrinologists, और एक personally जुड़ जाता था उनके साथ. मतलब if they would have any issue, they will call, where is Diwakar? So that kind of situation I used to create. Apollo Hospital का उद्घाटन तब हुआ. I remember going there. I was the first person there, and I worked there quite a lot as a salesperson. This is where I would say the biggest change or a very, very positive change, which would have really which impacted my life in a big manner, happened in my life, where I encountered Buddhism. Came to Bombay, and I had a new boss, this Swiss gentleman. Whatever I am today, in whatever form, he has a huge impact on me as far as my profession, even personally also. He was based initially in Switzerland, but he shifted to India, and we worked together to launch a new technology business in India for diabetic patients. I mean, I will not go into that so much of detail of that, but he amazing friend, an extremely knowledgeable person, a global leader with a very vast thought process, amazing thought process. And we worked on launching this new technology, which would shape the life of people living with diabetes, especially young people who need insulin for survival. We call them type 1 diabetics. Those insulin pumps and those kind of things. So he really taught me so many things, and he gave me global perspective that how work happens in US, how work happens in UK, in Asian countries, because he had that experience. And how to communicate with top leaders, how to develop your rapport, how to plan yourself, how to make a presentation. Chota chota but very important cheez hai. And he was a friend. He would never judge me. So Mumbai was amazing. Learned a lot. And by now, I was very comfortable in communication. I was very comfortable, in lots of things, and I was becoming more and more kind of, agile in doing new things and etc. etc. So then I moved to Gurgaon, and I had a great experience working there as magician while we were together. One in this organization, there's one big thing happened with me, which a very positive change. I started looking at what I'm doing more from the community angle, more from the public health angle, more from the global health angle, actually, and more from the patient or the consumer angle. So that transition happened in my thinking process. That was my next big calling when I look back now, that I should get into public health fully because our country needs it. You know, the health capacity of our country is not very good, and especially in non-communicable diseases like diabetes. And this is one area which will evolve a lot. And in fact, today, large part of my work is into that space, not just in India, but in many part of the world, actually. But that was one big learning where I could, learn while working with BD, that more from the sales or marketing background, I also gotten into kind of a public health kind of learn. If you see last 1.5 or 2 years of the lockdown period, it has been difficult for everybody, around the world, and so as for me also. So unfortunately, my wife, she passed away during the lockdown. So she had a cardiac arrest all of a sudden, very fitness freak and everything, but I don't know what happened. And then she's no more. So that was like a huge, huge blow all of a sudden, which, obviously you're never prepared for these things. Before that, what also happened is I didn't speak so far, Sunita. We also discovered when our first son was born, after 2, 3 years, that he is on the autism spectrum. So he's an autistic, kid when he was 2.5 years, and he's non-verbal, so he doesn't speak. So that was again a very big challenge, so to say. As I said, since I do practice life philosophy like Buddhism, it always gives you hope. It always gives you hope and kind of determination to work for it. That things comes to you because of some reason, and this has come to you. So instead of just feeling down and out, let's see how you work. So educate yourself. So I was like really educating what autism is. I remember I was in US and I went to Washington State University. I lived there for 3 days just to understand autism. So this was one struggle which was going on, and on top of that, all of a sudden, my wife passing was a huge blow, very very. So then I had to take a bigger responsibility because now my son was on me completely, and only 10 years. So you can imagine, you're living with a kid in a house in lockdown who is only 10 and who is also autistic and who doesn't speak. Among all those things, if I have to give you one experience, and that experience is about my last so many years of Buddhist practice and amazing friends, and the mindset which got developed has really helped me in many ways. There's a saying in one of the Buddhist scripture is that suffer what there is to suffer, enjoy what there is to enjoy, regard both suffering and joy as fact of life. People suffering a lot, you're nothing. हम सबको अपनी प्रॉब्लम ज्यादा नजर आती है, मगर हमसे भी बहुत ज्यादा ज्यादा लोग हैं और and they have become winners. Now things are getting into the good shape, by the grace of God and every friends and all. So I came to know a few months back that just outside Delhi there is such school already existing. Now my son is formally there, so
Okay.
he's already got admission. They took him. He's living there. He's very happy.
Congratulations. I know that you were trying to get him in the right place. So मुझे इतनी खुशी हो रही है ये देखकर सुनकर कि आपने इस एडवर्सरी को कैसे एक पॉजिटिव एक्सपीरियंस में बदला है फॉर योरसेल्फ, फॉर योर सन.
Yes. Thank you, Sunita. Really appreciate, I think, what you're doing. And this is a good chit chat with you. I've known you for a long time and I respect what you do and what you are. Thank you so much for continue to be what you are. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed your conversation with Divakar. I had a great time catching up with him. All those people out there who know Divakar and his adorable son Sushant, this is your opportunity to connect up with him. Do say your hello in the comment box below, and I'm sure Divakar will love to catch up with you all. Wishing Divakar and his son a life full of happiness, I conclude with this beautiful quote: appreciate where you are in your journey, even if it is not where you want to be. Every season has a purpose to serve. See you next Sunday with another life journey. Until then, look up at Sunny Side Up.